So I'm going to be showing you guys just like photos from the school. Ignore all the extra stuff, sorry. But this is the building. This is the McLean Center, 112 South Michigan Ave. This building has a lot of different stuff. We're going to be focusing on FVNMA. I'm going to be going in order of how I would give a tour at SAIC. So we're actually going from the 14th floor down, so just keep that in mind. So this right now is the hallway of the 14th floor. The reason I wanted to show you this is because this is our XTV office. XTV is the experimental on-campus TV station, I guess. They also host a bunch of different events as well as running different functions around the school. So we have 3 different film festivals: X-Fest, XXX-Fest, and X-Animation Festival. They're all festivals that are open for students to give work to. The great thing is that they have like real prizes and real judges, so it's a great way to get your film screened, but also put on your resume and your CV. On top of that, we do work with a public access channel, so if you'd like your stuff to be played on TV, give it to them, they'll play it. And then we also have monitors all around school that XTV plays stuff on. That's another really good option for students to get their work played. Also over here, there's a sign for Polyplay. Polyplay isn't necessarily for FVNMA students, but your work might have more to do with Polyplay. Polyplay is like a game design festival. It's an interactive arts festival. So if you've made like a video that has some kind of interactive component and is a little bit on the kind of space between like video game and film, Polyplay is a really good option for you. So try Polyplay as well. And it's all just on the XTV SAIC website, which you can check out now. And it has all the events listed as well. The next room, this is a puppet animation studio. I put little examples of stuff that could be done in there. So this room, what it has is has these pegboards, 1 and 2. There's actually another one you can't quite see in this photo. If you take this class, the cool thing about it is that not only are you learning about like how to make your own puppets and all that and how to shoot for stop motion animation, but you're also learning how to build sets. You're doing green screen and chroma key stuff. You're also like sewing little outfits. It's a super hands-on class. So if you're interested in costuming as well, this is a great one to take. This is like a little editing suite next to it, but you'll see a larger one later. Super simple. You have a grid up here that you can hang puppets from. If you're doing puppet animation like Coraline, you want to hang some stuff, especially if they're jumping. But then if you're doing claymation, like This Is My Life as a Zucchini, also a great movie, then you might be using like different armatures inside of it and like using little metal pieces to have them actually be able to stand. So that's up to you. We have multiple puppet rooms, and we do a bunch of different kinds of puppet at SAIC. Under SAIC's animation department, which you'll see more about animation later, there's basically a couple different tracks. There's hand-drawn, which is like 2D hand-drawn, think like Snow White, that kind of thing. There's 2D digital, which is probably what people are the most familiar with because Simpsons is 2D digital. Sorry, I use Adobe. Simpsons is 2D digital. All the like television shows, Steven Universe, that's 2D digital. I'll show you more of that later. And then there's 3D, and 3D animation does fall more under art and technology. And then there's experimental animation, which has stuff like puppets, as well as sand animation, as well as claymation, as well as other forms of stop motion. So if you want to do more experimental animation, that's fine. But if you want to do more TV animation, that's also fine. And I'll show you that specific stuff later. This is just down the hall from this room. So this is a giant editing suite. So this one specifically is a little more towards sound. It's hard to see because the room is dark, but there are 3 different kinds of speakers in this room. There's the ones on the back wall, which you might be familiar with those in like a normal theater setting. That's what kind of movie theaters normally have. There's the ones on this wall, which have kind of blended in because it's black on black. But you'll see in a second when I show you our theater downstairs, those are the same ones that we have in our theater. And then the ones over here are the ones that we have in a classroom. So a good student, especially like a more advanced student, will have at least 3 versions of their movie on their laptop with 3 different editings. If you guys have ever watched like an old movie on Netflix, especially one that came out pre-internet, the sound quality is very different from like Angry Birds 2, which was made in the Netflix era, because before something comes to digital streaming, generally there will be a second edit of it that will also make it fit into your screen better. That's why older movies have that like card in front of it that says it's fit for a different screen than yours. So that's why this room exists, so you can test it with different kinds of sound. That's what you do in here. And then a little bit more of a close-up. This is what the sound mixing board looks like for it. It's pretty much industry standard. I've used this kind actually not in a film setting, but actually when I worked in theater, this was the kind of soundboard that we used with a little bit of a modification. I just put these icons here because these are the main editing softwares that we use. So SAIC, you do get Adobe through the school, so you have the full Adobe suite. That's why I got that notification. This is Premiere Pro. That is my personal favorite editing suite. I love Premiere. It's what I work on. This is Final Cut. Final Cut is Apple. If you would like to use Final Cut, that's totally fine. SAIC teachers do know how to teach on it, but generally they will default to Premiere. And then this is Pro Tools, which is a pretty standard editing sound system. These two I don't believe have free versions, but Pro Tools does. So if right now, as a student or whatever you are in life right now, you want to try Pro Tools for yourself, Pro Tools does have a downloadable free version. So definitely look up the Avid Pro Tools site. But yeah, this is the editing suite. And then this is a room directly connected to it. Again, super dark image. This is a small room on purpose. This is a whisper booth. Whisper booths are used for audio and dialogue. So if you make an animation and you need the dialogue for the animation, this is where you're editing, or this is where you're recording, I should say. And then this screen actually attaches to the screen in this room so that they can have the film playing in here. If you've ever watched, like, celebrities love posting when they dub over films in either other languages or to dub out cuss words for, like, if you're on an airplane, generally they'll dub out all the cuss words. You have to lip sync, and that's what you can also do in here with that screen. Generally 3 people can fit in here. You've got the mic stands here with the cover. Mics are rented from SAIC. Another thing that we have that's cool about SAIC, and one of the reasons that I came here, is that we have something called a media center. And then the media center is where you can get all of your lighting equipment, sound equipment, green screens, chroma key, dress form, literally anything you need for free from the school. It's a library system, so unless you break it, you're not paying for it, so don't break it. So you would just have to go down to, I believe, the 7th floor, or the 8th floor, I'm sorry, and then check out a mic for the stand, or check out, like, your camera, whatever you need. So then another floor down, I put the floors on the side, by the way. 13th floor, you have a great photo. The person who took this had their Duncan with them, that's okay. So this is the screening room. In the screening room, we do a lot of things. You can screen your film here. Like I said, these are the exact same speaker as we have upstairs, so you know you're getting as good quality as possible. Another thing that happens here, and kind of the main thing that happens in here, is actually art histories that are film based. So for instance, my roommate, she took art history of film noir in this room. I'm taking art history of queer film next semester, and then last semester I took art history of horror film. We have a bunch of different art history films. If you want to take them, I highly suggest them. They're super fun. So there's a big screen over here that's kind of off camera, but just imagine any theater you've ever seen. Another cool thing about this room is that we can do both analog and digital film in here. So a lot of the times the teachers actually will bring in analog film to play. So you can get kind of the most perfect experience of it, especially from, like, an art historical perspective. When it is not in use, it is totally open for you to check out. If you want to screen your film in here, it's good before giving it to a film festival or to a competition, even to our on-campus ones, to check it out on full screen before, because what you see on a laptop screen or like a desktop is very different from, like, a full screen. So I would definitely do that. This is on the same floor. It's actually just around the corner from that room. This is either referred to as the black box or the soundstage. It's just like a big open room for students to use. You can kind of see it, but this is a very tall room. That's a very tall ladder. So what it has is it has this giant, like, grid up top, so you can hang your lights. We have a couple standing lights back here. And then in this closet, we have a carton of dolly if you want to do tracking shots. And then in here, in these, like, tubes, you can see we also have chroma key and green screen. So basically this space is for students to check out, to do auditions for their films, to film their film, to film dance videos, to kind of do whatever you need. We have spaces like this all over camera, both for film video students, as well as, like, photography students and performance students and other students who just need, like, a room to work in. So this is totally up for grabs. You just sign your name off at the door. It's a pretty low-key process to get it. I've seen people, like, build full sets in here. If you guys have ever watched Friends, How I Met Your Mother, those are really good examples of easy sets to build because you have a back wall, 2 side walls, and then doors on either side. And that's, like, a really easy studio audience type of feel that you can film. So I highly suggest trying that. You can also just, like, drop a green screen and put some chairs in here and say that it's the living room. That's also fine. So this is totally open for you to check out. So we're skipping down a couple floors. The other thing on that floor, 13 also has our radio station. If you'd like to check it out, it's SAIC Free Radio. It's digital, so definitely look at the website. I'm on there if you want to hear me. And then on the 12th floor, we also have our cafeteria. But now we're on 7. So 7 has animation. So in the animation department, you will start hand-drawn 2D, like totally analog. You start hand-drawn 2D because A, from an art historical perspective, it's what you should do because you should understand the medium. B, it's kind of like having to start with figure drawing before you get into cartooning because you need to have the basics, but also because a lot of animation studios will not take your portfolio for either internships or jobs without there being analog in the portfolio. Although a lot of the main features are digital, if you watch like Pixar shorts or Disney or whoever, it is often analog because analog just looks really great. Or if you saw that Netflix movie Klaus, that was also analog and it was a really great animation. So definitely try analog. Analog's really coming back. So I would highly suggest it. It's like my favorite. You're gonna generally start in a class called Drawing for Animation 1. And in this class, you're kind of going step by step. One of the first things that you'll do is like a bouncing ball or a flying piece of paper so that you get like the movement and the up down. Then you'll do walking in and out of frame or a walking cycle or a complex cycle. It's really going like basics to basics so that you learn the fundamentals of animation, how to make someone go forward, that kind of thing. This is more of a close-up of what they look like. These are light boards. So you put them up on an angle, they shine through, and then they've got these little pegs. They hold up pieces of paper. And then you can like draw, usually up to 10 layers. You can still see through to what your last one was. And then you keep going. So you have every cell that you've drawn stacked on top of each other. And then over here, this is what editing for analog animation looks like. There is digital editing. So this is a Mac computer, obviously, but then on it is something called Dragonflame. Dragonflame is like, in my opinion, one of the easiest pieces of editing software that I've ever tried. If you've ever tried to edit like animation on iMovie or some other free thing, it's not easy because you have to do frames per second by hand rather than automatically. Dragon does it by automatically. So you literally like touch a button in the corner and it will take your shot in frames from 12 frames per second to 6 to 8 to 24, whatever you want to do. So that's really easy. This here, like the armature piece, it's either called a dragon or a spider, depending on who you're talking to. Basically, you have a camera, you can move it up and down depending on what you want for the shot, and then you would put all of your pieces of paper from drawing 1 to drawing 10 all the way down. And then you would shoot it in, put it in Dragonframe, and it's pretty easy because you're just doing it all in order. So this over here is what digital animation looks like. I put this sign, I'm gonna cough, I'm sorry. Sorry. I put this sign because this is on 7, but it's also on a lot of other floors because this basic setup of having a Cintiq and then having a desktop is all over us. It's a pretty standard setup for a lot of digital art or doing graphics or animation. For digital animation, 2D specifically, you're generally using a program called Toon Boom. Toon Boom is super popular. If you look at their website, they actually have a full list of all of their, they call it, I think they call it their customer programs or something like that. It's very funny, but it's like The Simpsons, Family Guy, all of the kind of 2D animated TV shows that you watch all are Toon Boom. This is what Toon Boom looks like. You can draw in it and edit in it simultaneously, which is really great. And then a Cintiq tablet is basically a giant iPad, so you draw directly on it. You would go to 2D digital after doing 2D digital, or 2D analog, I should say. So you will have those basics, and then you do more basics here, and then you're moving into making your own film, which in digital, because you have sort of cheats, because like you don't have to animate every single film by hand, or cell by hand, I should say, you will have longer assignments. Sorry. And then the last thing is the green screen room. This just like the big black box is just for students to use. Rent it out anytime you need it. Do whatever you need in here. It's permanently green on the wall, so you don't have to hang your own green screen. It's super easy to use. You will come in here in your first week of your intro to the FE Anime department class and try out different lighting. That's like the first thing you do at SAIC. You're trying out different kinds of lighting with like different gels on top of your light to try color and then color editing. So that's what the FE&MA department at SAIC looks like. Thanks for watching. Casey, you can take over.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. I hope you have a good tour of the film, video, media, and animation department. Thank you for joining us on our virtual tour. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to get in touch with us, always at saic.edu, but also at our phone number or email address right here. So thank you very much.